Now, hello everybody, my name is Christian and welcome back to Skycast. And as of now, I've kind of taken a little bit of a break from recording. We are back now. And for the most part, we have had a continuous, very severe active week, multiple outbreaks that we were seeing even yesterday in a 5% tornado threat, even seeing a tornado emergency issued by National Weather Service of Midland, Texas. So let's go ahead and get right into it. And now here we are on Radar Omega, and we were watching a supercell yesterday that did something quite cool. Now this storm actually spawned about right back through here through the Andrews area, and it kind of rapidly gained strength. And this is what produced a violent tornado. You can see the tornado here, right here through Midland, a view from the National Weather Service Midland tornado south of the airport on I-20. And this storm in particularly, it produced a intense / violent tornado as it moved through the middle of Odessa and Midland, just to the southwest of Big Springs, and this is in western Texas. Now, one thing that I do want to pull out, if you see this little line right here, you may be thinking that this is rain, but this is actually what we call an outflow boundary, and this is kind of, that thing right here is kind of what helped this storm progress. And you can see right over Midland, it kind of attached to that outflow boundary, and you can see it, how it rapidly gained strength, how it rapidly gained tornadic activity. You can see that hook start forming, and then it just kind of latched onto itself there. Right through this area is where that outflow boundary would have been, and it rapidly gained intensity right there, and you can see the hook echo right here to the east of Odessa, and that did eventually produce more tornadoes, once even being twins. If we tune into this area and we look at how this tornado actually formed, it was really hard to tell how this tornado actually came to be. And you can see right here, very hard to tell where this radar site is right here. You can also tell with this storm, though, how it rapidly intensified where it hit that outflow boundary. And then you can see all those pinks, those yellows. That's how fast this storm actually intensified. And then you could see that tornado, how quickly it actually sparked up. Now, I want you to keep your eye out for this area in particular. And as we continue and we move through the runs, you can see that tornado, how it sparked right there. Very strong signature with it. You can see it once right there, just south of the 1788 sign. And it wasn't on the ground for fairly long. I'd say about 15-20 minutes it was on the ground, but you can see one of those other signatures, a very strong signature with it, and then eventually it did wind up lifting. Now, to the southeast of Odessa, the storm continued and once again attempted to produce another strong tornado, and this did go PDS warned. Once again, was on the ground for a bit before eventually lifting, and then the storm continued to lose its strength before eventually dissipating as it continued off to the south. So very cool to see how that did progress. There was a little bit of a damage. A tornado emergency was issued for this area up here. About 1,800 people were in this area, and there was a neighborhood. But twin tornadoes, very, very visible on camera. It was very cool to watch. It is sad to see the damage that came out of it. But besides that, it was thankfully that it didn't go any worse. And with that supercell in particularly, we've had others like near Clovis, where once again produced pretty wild looking cell, DVD sized hail in portions of like north central Texas. So with these storms, even though they're marked as slights, as enhanced, no matter the risk, it is literally 2024. We've seen a chaotic amount of violent things happen this year. You've got to be on guard if you're anywhere near the risk. And it is very possible that your risk could die off, or it is possible that it's not going to produce nothing in your area, but you got to be on guard for this. And we're continuing this through today, where we have this slight risk through portions of Texas, through the panhandle of Oklahoma, Texas, New Mexico, Colorado, Kansas, and into portions of extreme southwestern Nebraska. And then we go through portions of the Mississippi Valley as well, into Tennessee, down through Arkansas, western Mississippi, and northeastern Louisiana. Tornado threat for this is not supposed to be too bad. 2% toward portions of Colorado and portions of the Arkansas, Louisiana region. Even though this is a 2%, though, we're seeing big tornadoes on lower end days, so you always have to be on guard with this. Does not mean there's going to be a big tornado, but you just have to make sure that you're watching these as well. You do have this 15% for wind on both of these slight risks, except the one down near Texas, so be on guard for winds from 50 to 60, 70 miles an hour. And then hail, more going to be of a concern towards western size hail in excess of about 1 to 2 inches in diameter, possibly even larger. And then over towards Louisiana, hail of about 1 to 2 inches as well. If we go down here and we look at it, a few severe storms with large hail and damaging winds will be possible this afternoon/evening across the central southern high plains, from southwest Texas and into the Texas coast and across the Arkla, Mississippi Valley. You can pause to read the hypnosis here if you would like. And then we get into tomorrow, where we have a kind of a more expansive risk. This is going to be for Saturday, June 1st. So tomorrow is also going to be another concern, which we're going to get to here in a moment, about hurricanes. But you have this slight risk stretching from anywhere from a little portion of my Wyoming and a big amount of western Nebraska, all the way down through the plains, down into portions of New Mexico and Texas. So you once again got to be on guard for this. Tornado threat, once again, not expected to be too wildly high. You have this 2% towards the north side, 2% towards the south side. Wind is going to be that main driven threat, and hail that main driven threat as well, with that significant tag for a possibility of 2-inch in diameter hail or larger events through these areas. So always make sure, once again, if you're under any portion of this risk, make sure that you are 100% being concerned about this and you are watching. Scattered severe storms, including a few supercells, may develop across the central and southern high plains afternoon before evolving into an organizing cluster while spreading into the adjacent Great Plains through Saturday evening. These may pose a risk for severe wind, hail, and perhaps a couple of brief tornadoes. So all of those threats for this being highlighted, make sure you're being weather aware, and you can pause to read this hypnosis if you would like. We're now going to be getting into day 3 on Sunday, where we do have this slight risk towards portions of the Midwest. And this is another thing that we're going to be watching for June. June being kind of considered an MCS month. And if you don't know what that is, an MCS month basically means kind of like a complex cluster of storms, or like a line of storms. I guess you could say squall line, but not exactly. And that is going to be very common up here towards portions of the Midwest, possibly even the eastern, the Ohio Valley, Tennessee Valley, maybe even, and that is very common for June. So with that, we're seeing a slight risk up here towards portions of extreme northern Kansas and central Nebraska, western South Dakota, and then North Dakota, as well as we get into portions of western Minnesota. Probabilistic of this being severe is a 15%, and do keep in mind that we have this marginal risk that stretches all the way down through the panhandles and into portions of west central Texas. Strong to severe thunderstorms are possible from the northern and central plains into the upper Midwest on Sunday, and you can pause to read this hypnosis here. So make sure, if you're in any of these risks, that we are 100% watching for these threats, these storms, a little bit of concern with these. And now we begin to get into portions of day 4. And we got day 4, day 5, day 6, day 7, day 8. Nothing on these because predictability/probabilities are too low. All of these do say predictability are too low. And if we come down here to the kind of the description here, it does say that there is a little bit of storm activity expected. Thunderstorms possible, like towards further south into the central plains. Associated cold front to the front to push eastward across the upper Midwest, where we're seeing, that MCS month towards portions of like Iowa, that area, Iowa, Minnesota, all those portions. But the convective evolution is what limits them to put something on this map. So that's kind of why we're seeing that predictability to low area, and that will go through anywhere from day 4 to day 8. So as of now, it's been a while since we've seen this empty. We're now seeing it completely empty. So that is something that could help where we're not able to predict it that far out. And with what we've been talking about kind of through the course of this video about MCS in the month of June, we can see multiple areas kind of through that area through Sunday on 6-2, where we do have that 15% SIG there, 6-4, where we've got that a little bit shifted further east and down through the plains. And then, through these other areas where we're seeing severe weather events through portions like the Ohio Valley through the East Coast. This does not mean that there's always going to be back-to-back severe weather up through this area. It just means that it's going to probably be more common as that complex line of storms, if there does wind up being a severe weather event up there. But through the plains, through the eastern coast, it does look like severe weather all expected for you guys as we continue to move on. Now, the area that I've kind of circled here is where we're going to see that main area of concern for that storm development into the Atlantic Ocean. And you can see kind of how warm the water is through here. You can see almost 86, 87 degrees. And normally through this area, this is how it's supposed to be for August into September. That's how hot the waters are right now. And we are looking at kind of a historic hurricane season from what the NOAA is saying. And one thing that is different about last year is that if you've been watching the channel, you can see anything that really formed through this area kind of in its own self. You know, it kind of tracked off towards the United States, and then it would make a loop back because it had kind of a pull that came out of the United States, kind of like that, and it would kind of push it away from pointing at the United States. And that's not saying that that happened every time, because we did have landfall here, but that's kind of what we were looking at for this general area. We do not have that this year, so anything that could track might actually try and make landfall somewhere near the United States. We're also looking at waters near the Gulf of Mexico, which also is another hot spot for named storms. That could also be another area of concern. And now something that we are looking at is the 2024 Atlantic Hurricane Season Outlook. My webcam is blocking the name, but it's not blocking anything else of concern, so I'm not going to move that. But this is issued by the National Weather Service, and you can see we're looking at an 85% chance of an above normal season. This is going to be something that could likely be historic. Now, that is saying it's going to 100%? No, something can always change. But from what we're seeing right now, we are looking at a major event. We have had violent tornadoes, violent hail, violent winds, long track tornadoes, and all that fun stuff this year that has already been historic, including, you know, one tornado that almost broke Arkansas record. But now we're looking at a historic hurricane season. And you can see we're looking at about 17 to 25 named storms, about 18 to 13 hurricanes, and almost 4 to 7 major hurricanes. And you know, that doesn't sound a lot, but when you have 7 major named hurricanes that are like category 2 plus, you're looking at, you know, that is a lot. And you're looking at almost 13 hurricanes that are actually named. They have to go through that tropical storm development. That is a lot if you sit there and you think about it for a minute. So tomorrow, June 1st, on Saturday, is going to be the start of hurricane season, as well as the start of June, where we're going to see a lot of those storms up towards the Midwest and the East Coast. So make sure, if you're under any sort of alert over the next little bit, you're making sure that you're taking this seriously. You have a right to receive alerts and all of that fun stuff. Make sure to drop a subscribe. We'll continue to update alerts here on YouTube. As well as that, make sure to follow our Twitter live updates there as well for anything that is of concern or PDS Plus, as well as some funny things, because why not? Got to keep people engaged. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a great day.